and trying to figure out how to approach the changes to how judges are selected.
I think this year that, again, I'm trying to get on board with Beth Harwell and Speaker Harwell and the governor that I'm not in favor of statewide election of judges. I've been very plain with that. Yet at the same time, I think that when the words are plainly in our Constitution that judges shall be elected by qualified voters of our state, that we need to amend the Constitution and take that out. And I think you'll see an effort in the next week or so for the three of us to get on board together with that concept to say that the Judicial Nominating Commission as constituted now, we redid that a couple of years ago, and I led the charge on that because I think at that time it was beholden to special interest groups and self-perpetuating. We've taken all that out. I think it's working well now, but at the same time it's hard to argue that as long as those words are in our Constitution, we should be electing our judges. So another constitutional amendment take that out.
Is there a consensus on whether or not to adopt a more, like a system that mirrors the federal selection system, or just a?
Again, I think what we're doing now is working. I know there are some bills out there that will allow the governor to appoint anybody he wants to, confirmed by the Senate. That's the kind of stuff you'd have had to do when you're writing the Constitution, because in order for us to change that, you'll get the House to agree with it. I don't think that will happen. And so I think that the system we have now is working, and I don't see any of those bills passing.
And so at this point, so I guess the game plan would be that you all try to come together, and then in the meantime, until you get something up on the ballot, that you won't be able to get anything. Well, I guess you could get it up for 2014.
No, 2000. Yeah, we could. I'll take that back. Yes,
yeah, if you have to quickly this year.
I'll take it back. Yes. It'll be 2014, but that's the little catch-22 situation that we're in. I'll admit, I don't know how you solve that. And the fact that we'll be up in 2014, that happens to be the same time that the judges are running for re-election. So I would assume that if they're re-elected, we can't change their terms. And so but hopefully you amend the Constitution to make sure that you validate the system that they're running in. So it's all that would be on the ballot in August. And so do I wish, I had my druthers, that we'd have the constitutional amendment in 2010, and then, but we're past that now. We can't do anything about that. So it's kind of a catch-22 situation.
But I guess in the meantime, would you all be discouraging anyone from trying to make changes until you proceed on that?
I would discourage that. Yes, I would. And of course, we've got the Court of Judiciary, which is a whole other issue out there on how you discipline judges. Now, you're going to see some changes in that this year, too. And I think the judges have realized, I know they've realized, that what they've been doing in the past hasn't exactly worked. And I think you'll see our current Court of the Judiciary be sunset, and we'll sunrise another entity that more reflects what I think is supposed to be doing now. And what gets me, we hear people say, well, what about separation of powers? Well, the Constitution plainly gives and charges the legislature to be over the discipline and impeachment of judges. And so I think that's clearly within our constitutional, and not just clearly within our rights, it's a charge that we have.
If there's a constitutional amendment on the judges, one on the income tax ban, and then one on SJR 127, that's a lot of constitutional changes for the voters in 2014. Any concerns that you're?
No, I realize that's three at one time. There's been 2 or 3 in the last few years too. I can't remember exactly where they were, but that'll be 3 at one time. I'll agree. I want all 3 of them to be on the ballot where they're all yeses, to where it's easy to have a campaign, so to speak, to make sure that people do what I think is the right thing.
But just to be clear, it sounds like you're saying a constitutional amendment this year, because it had to be this year.
It'll have to, if it's not this year, it'll have to be, yes, it has to be this year.
So you expect one this year?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I do.